London, a city that's always buzzing, full of life, and let's be honest, a bit pricey. Everyone knows London's a bit expensive, especially when it comes to housing. But don't worry, mate, we're going to break down the London housing market, borough by borough. Right, let's get down to brass tacks. When we talk about buying a house in London, we're not talking about a one-size-fits-all situation. Depending on where you fancy putting down roots, the amount of cash you need can change drastically. Okay, let's dive into the nitty-gritty. According to recent data, to even think about buying a property in the city of Westminster, you're looking at needing an average household income of around £160,000 a year. Venture slightly further out to places like Bexley or Barking and Dagenham, and you're looking at a more manageable average income requirement of around £50,000 to £60,000 per year. Let's bring this to life a bit, shall we? Imagine two mates, both working their socks off in London. One's got their heart set on Kensington, picturing themselves strolling through Hyde Park every morning. The other fancies a bit of South London life, with its buzzing markets and independent coffee shops. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. Why are some parts of London so ridiculously expensive when it comes to buying a property? Think of it like this. The closer you are to the heart of the action, the higher the price tag. Central London, with its iconic landmarks, world-class theatres and buzzing nightlife, commands a premium. Now, location isn't the only factor driving up property prices in certain areas. It's also about the lifestyle and amenities that come with the postcode. Areas like Notting Hill, with its pastel-coloured houses, chic boutiques and celebrity residents, have a certain cachet. Let's be real, trying to buy a property in London can feel a bit like entering the Hunger Games. You're up against fierce competition and the stakes are high. Part of the reason for this is the simple economic principle of supply and demand. Remember how we talked about location being a major factor in London property prices? Well, it's not just about being close to the centre of town. It's also about access to green spaces, good schools, and decent transport links. Properties near parks and green spaces tend to command a premium, as people are willing to pay extra for a bit of peace and quiet amidst the urban jungle. Let's talk about Sarah. Sharp, ambitious, and a real go-getter, Sarah's been climbing the corporate ladder since she graduated. She's got her sights set on a chic flat in Kensington, picturing herself sipping lattes in those cute cafes, and maybe bumping into a royal corgi or two in Hyde Park. Now, let's hop over to South London and meet Mark and Emily, a lovely couple in their early 30s who are expecting their first child. They're after that perfect blend of family-friendly vibes and trendy hotspots, and Balham seems to tick all the boxes. They've been diligently saving for a family home, and while Balham isn't exactly cheap, it's more attainable than, say, Fulham or Richmond. Meet David, a freelance graphic designer in his mid-20s. He loves the buzz of London, but isn't quite ready to sell his soul or his entire income for a shoebox flat in Zone 2. He stumbles upon Forest Hill, a leafy enclave in southeast London, and it feels like a breath of fresh air. So, we've met Sarah, Mark and Emily and David, each at different stages of their London property journeys. Their stories highlight the diverse realities of the London housing market and the choices people make to navigate it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about finding what works best for you and your individual circumstances. Alright, we've talked about the highs and lows of buying a property in London, but let's be real, it's not the only game in town. For some, the traditional route of saving up for a massive deposit and battling it out in bidding wars just isn't feasible or even desirable. The good news is, there are alternative paths to putting down roots in the big smoke, each with its own pros and cons. From shared ownership schemes to embracing the rental market, there are options out there that might just be the perfect fit for your lifestyle and budget. Think of it like finding the perfect pair of trainers. You wouldn't just grab the first pair you see, would you? You'd try on a few different styles, consider your needs, and maybe even ask your mate for their honest opinion. So, if you're feeling priced out of the property market or simply want to explore all your options before taking the plunge, buckle up. We're about to delve into the world of shared ownership, renting, and everything in between. Who knows, you might just discover a hidden gem that suits you down to the ground. Because at the end of the day, finding a place to call home in London is about more than just owning a piece of bricks and mortar. It's about finding a space that fits your life, your aspirations, and your budget. Whether that's a trendy flat in Hackney Wick, a cozy terrace in Balham, or a shared ownership flat in up-and-coming Croydon. Right, let's talk shared ownership. This scheme is often touted as a more affordable way to get on the property ladder, but is it all it's cracked up to be? Essentially, shared ownership allows you to buy a share of a property, usually between 25 and 75%, and pay rent on the remaining portion. It's like going halves on a takeaway with your flatmate, except instead of a curry, you're investing in a place to live. The main perk? You'll need a smaller deposit than if you were buying outright, which can be a lifesaver in a city like London, where deposits can feel like winning the lottery. Plus, your monthly payments might be lower than renting privately, giving you that extra bit of financial breathing room. Sounds good so far, right? But hold your horses, because shared ownership isn't for everyone. You'll still need to qualify for a mortgage, and there are restrictions on what you can and can't do with the property. Plus, you'll be sharing ownership with a housing association, which means adhering to their rules and regulations. It's a bit like having a landlord, but instead of dealing with a dodgy letting agent, you're answering to a housing association. So, is shared ownership right for you? It depends on your individual circumstances, your risk appetite, and how much you value having complete control over your living space. It's definitely worth exploring, but do your research and weigh up the pros and cons before taking the plunge. Now let's talk about renting. For years, it's been seen as the less desirable option, the "I've failed at adulting" alternative to owning a home. But hold on, the rental market in London is changing, and for some, it might actually be the smarter, more flexible option. Think about it. Renting gives you the freedom to move around, try out different neighborhoods, and avoid the commitment and potential headaches of property ownership. Plus, you won't have to worry about fixing a leaky roof or forking out for a new boiler in the depths of winter. It's all about that hassle-free lifestyle, mate. Of course, renting in London isn't without its downsides. You'll be at the mercy of landlords, rental prices can be eye-watering, and you won't be building equity in a property. But there are ways to make renting work for you. Consider house sharing with friends to reduce costs, negotiate a longer tenancy for stability, and explore different areas to find hidden gems with more reasonable rents. The key is to be savvy, do your research, and find a place that feels like home, even if it's not technically yours. Because let's face it, in a city as dynamic and ever-changing as London, sometimes renting gives you the flexibility and freedom to embrace all the opportunities that come your way. So, we've explored the alternatives, but how do they actually stack up in different parts of London? Well, just like the property market itself, it's all about location, budget, and what you're looking for in a neighborhood. Let's take a whistle-stop tour of a few key boroughs, shall we? In trendy East London hotspots like Hackney and Dalston, shared ownership schemes are popping up like daisies, offering a more accessible way to get a foot on the property ladder. Meanwhile, areas like Balham and Clapham, popular with young professionals and families, offer a good mix of rental properties and shared ownership opportunities, although competition can be fierce. Venturing further out to up-and-coming areas like Forest Hill and Crystal Palace, you'll find more affordable rental options, as well as some shared ownership schemes aimed at first-time buyers. These areas offer a good balance of value for money and transport links, making them ideal for those who want a bit more space without sacrificing convenience. The key is to do your research, compare costs, and consider your priorities. Whether you're after a trendy flat in the heart of the action, a family-friendly home with a garden, or a peaceful retreat from the urban jungle, there's a housing option out there for you. It's just a matter of finding the perfect fit for your London life. Don't give up on the dream, mate. Right, let's dust off the crystal ball and try to predict the future of London's housing market, shall we? London's property market is about as predictable as the British weather. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball. Remember those record-breaking price surges? Wild times. But lately, things have been cooling down a bit. Experts reckon this slowdown might stick around for a bit. London's still a global magnet, with people flocking here for work and culture. Demand for housing will always be there, keeping things interesting. So, will prices keep climbing sky high, plateau, nosedive like a rogue pigeon? Who knows? Predicting London's housing market is a fool's game. It's like predicting which tube queue will move fastest. You'll probably be wrong. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? The uncertainty keeps us on our toes. Knowledge is power. By understanding market factors, we can make informed decisions. So, buckle up. We're delving into economic forecasts and expert opinions. Let's talk about interest rates, shall we? Those sneaky little numbers that can make or break your home ownership dreams. Remember those halcyon days when interest rates were lower than a limbo champion? Borrowing money was cheaper than a plate of chips, and everyone and their nan was jumping on the property ladder. But alas, those days are gone, my friends. Interest rates have been doing a bit of a dance lately, and unfortunately, it's less of a graceful waltz and more of an aggressive tango. They've been creeping up, making mortgages more expensive and putting a bit of a dampener on the whole buying frenzy. What does this mean for you? Well, it means that pesky monthly mortgage payment just got a bit heftier, and if you're thinking of buying, well, that dream home might suddenly feel a tad out of reach. It's a bit of a bummer, but don't despair just yet. Interest rates are a fickle bunch, and they're influenced by all sorts of global shenanigans that are way beyond our control. The best thing you can do is stay informed, keep an eye on those financial forecasts, and budget accordingly. Oh, and maybe cut back on the takeaway coffees. Every little helps, right? Remember, the London housing market is a marathon, not a sprint. Pace yourself, be prepared to adapt, and you'll navigate those interest rate fluctuations like a pro. So, what does the future hold for those of us dreaming of owning a slice of this crazy, wonderful city? Will London still be calling our names in the years to come? Well, my crystal ball might be a bit cloudy on that one, but here's my 2 pence worth. London's always been a city of reinvention, of constant evolution. It's in its DNA. And while the housing market might throw us some curveballs, Brexit anyone, London always adapts, always finds a way. New neighbourhoods will emerge, transport links will improve, hopefully, and innovative housing solutions will pop up. It's all part of the city's never-ending cycle of change and resilience. Will it be easy? Probably not. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. Because let's face it, there's nowhere quite like London. It's a city that challenges you, excites you, and yes, occasionally frustrates you. But it's also a city that rewards those who are willing to put in the effort, to embrace the unknown, and to never give up on their dreams. So, keep dreaming big. Keep saving those pennies, or pounds as the case may be, and keep believing in the magic of London. Because even in the face of rising interest rates, housing shortages, and the occasional rogue pigeon, London always finds a way. And who knows, you might just find yourself right in the heart of it all, sipping a cuppa in your very own London home. Now, wouldn't that be something? So, there you have it. A whirlwind tour of London's bonkers housing market. Buying a place in this city can feel like climbing Mount Everest with a mortgage application in one hand and a bidding war paddle in the other. It's tough out there for a Londoner with a dream. Location, amenities, and supply and demand can send property prices soaring higher than a pigeon over Trafalgar Square. But don't let those eye-watering figures get you down. Amidst the chaos, there's a glimmer of hope. From shared ownership schemes to renting, there are alternative paths to putting down roots. Owning a piece of London is about finding a place that feels like home. London rewards those who dream big and hustle hard. Keep exploring those quirky neighbourhoods and scouring property listings. Whether sipping cocktails on a rooftop or tending your window box, London works its magic. It might not be easy or cheap, but it'll be worth it. Now go forth and conquer that London life. You got this.